The first hearing of the newly renamed Subcommittee on Regulatory Reform, Commercial, and Antitrust Law. We used to call it CAL. I call it RRCAL. I thank Chairman Baucus for choosing the topic of this merger between American and U.S. Airways for our first hearing, and I want to say I look forward to what I hope and know will be a productive working relationship in the 113th Congress. The third Saturday in October is not the only time Alabama and Tennessee get together. As an initial matter, I note that unlike with previous mergers, the unions representing workers at both these airlines have expressed strong support for the merger, and that's encouraging. Some news accounts suggest that the unions at American Airlines were particularly instrumental in agreeing to this move. Mr. Chairman, I'd ask unanimous consent that the final joint release dated February 14 between the different unions be entered into the record.
Without objection.
I also ask unanimous consent that a letter from Laura Gladding, President of the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, and a statement from Captain Kaufman, Chairman of the Allied Pilots Association, expressing support for the merger, both be entered into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand why labor supports this proposed merger. Employees at both carriers are poised to get a better deal than they would otherwise, which is more than I can say, unfortunately, for the employees of the former Northwest Airlines, many of whom were my constituents in Memphis. As we consider the merits of this merger, we ought to look back, though, at the similar effects of mergers that are similar in the recent past to see how it benefits consumers and what happens. And while I respect the views of labor in support of this merger and recognize that no two mergers of airlines or any other entities are necessarily alike, the merger of Northwest and Delta has indelibly shaped my image of airline mergers. Prior to the merger, Northwest operated a significant hub in Memphis. And for this reason, and given Memphis's proximity to Delta's hub and headquarters in Atlanta, I expressed concern about the potential cost of the merger to consumers and employees in my home district. In this very room in 2008, Richard Anderson, Delta's CEO, said about the future of the Memphis hub, it will be additional. It will be more business for Memphis, not less. I expressed concern to him about reduced service or even outright elimination of the hub, and asked him about continuation of the Memphis-Amsterdam international flight, of which we had great pride. At that hearing, Mr. Anderson in this room testified there would be no hub closures, and he said the merger would maintain international flights to Amsterdam. He went further to say we could expect more international flights from Memphis and suggested Memphis to Paris was going to happen. And he said there'd be more flights. This will enhance the status of traffic and service at the Memphis International Airport. He said it would add, not delay, not take away from Memphis International Airport. He said he knew Memphis from when he was at Northwest, and he loved the ribs, he loved the city, he knew how great the airport was, how well managed it was, how the time on the tarmac and taking off was less, that they saved oil, and it was the best connections they could possibly have. Those facts were true. His response was not. I asked U.S. Air and America to look at Mr. Anderson's statement and understand that Memphis International Airport is a place they should be. And when other airlines didn't come to Memphis, U.S. Airways did. They added additional flights from Memphis to Washington at a better price, and I appreciate that. We like that competition, and U.S. Airways did something other airlines didn't. When Frontier Airlines thought about coming into Memphis, Northwest cut their prices. That eliminated the opportunity for Frontier to come in. Later, People Express expressed an interest in coming into Memphis. And because Delta had such a dominant market share, People Express did not. The opportunity in Memphis is there. Before the merger, there were 240 flights a day out of Memphis International Airport. As of this December, there are 40% of that service, or simply 96 flights, not 240. It would not surprise me to see further cuts. And on Saturdays, it looks like Dodge City. So ribs are plentiful. There's opportunity for U.S. Airways to come into Memphis and to fly these routes, U.S. Airways American, and to serve Memphis. Delta has used its base in Memphis to keep carriers out and not have real competition. Memphis consumers pay higher prices than almost any airport in the country, and this has caused businesses to not choose Memphis as a place where they want to come because they don't get the service. Federal Express needs the service and supplies it. Federal Express takes some of their product and puts it on the airlines, which can help your airline serve Memphis. Call Fred Smith, Mr. Johnson. He'll tell you, come to Memphis, and so do I. So there are plenty of reasons why when we look at this merger, and I understand wonderful things I've heard about Mr. Johnson and Mr. Kennedy, and we need to look at it differently. We've heard from Richard Anderson. We don't want to repeat performance. But the basis upon which he made his untrue statements are still valid. Memphis International Airport's a fine airport, great service, great weather, great opportunities to save on fuel, and a great city to serve. I appreciate your being here. I appreciate Mr. Baca scheduling this hearing. I look forward to the testimony, and I look forward to U.S. Airways and American serving Memphis, Mid-America's great city, and Memphis International Airport, the great airport that it is. Thank you, Mr. Baucus, and I also give you a statement and ask unanimous consent to enter a statement from Mr. McGee and Mr. Slover of the Consumers Union expressing concern about this merger.
Without objection.
Thank you, sir, and I yield back the balance of my time.